Hello everybody, so this is a quick and easy and delicious recipe.
Hello everybody.
We're all home, obviously. So I've posted about this recipe before, but I figured I would do a very quick demonstration. I've got most of it prepped already. So what these are a coconut fried chicken meatball. So you can get it. So what I have here is a pound of ground chicken. Sometimes I double this recipe, or I often double it, but Corona life, we only have 1 pound. So, and then also in here is about probably a quarter teaspoon of sesame oil. I probably would normally do about a half, but that's all I had left. And then a few tablespoons of soy sauce. If you don't have soy sauce, you can substitute with a teaspoon of salt, but the soy sauce does add a different level of flavor. Then I have spices. I have 1 whole teaspoon of paprika. I have a half a teaspoon of chili powder, a whole teaspoon of garlic powder, and a half a teaspoon of mustard powder, and a half a teaspoon of basil. If you don't have one of those, just leave it out. I've done different things with whatever I have sometimes, and it still comes out. They still come out good. So not a big deal. If you don't have basil, maybe try oregano or parsley. If you don't have garlic powder, maybe you have fresh garlic. I've done that before, which is just as good, if not better. This is just quicker and easier, because you don't have to grate garlic or chop it up. So what I'm doing is I'm just gonna mix this all together, and the mix is gonna turn kind of like a reddish color too, because of all the paprika and chili powder. Don't touch that. Isaiah. So at this point, this is what you got. You could also make burgers out of this, which also works. Move your hand. Sometimes I use a binder. I'm not even gonna bother today. I'm just not that worried about it. Please don't touch. Please. Let's be good. And then, so I'm gonna bread it with coconut. This is actually sweetened coconut. We love coconut. I love coconut, right? And then this is just plain breadcrumbs. Now, a lot of times I use gluten-free breadcrumbs or like Panko, but the store has not had those, obviously. So we're in crisis mode. So we're using what we got.
Yay! Coconut! I want to eat that coconut.
Actually, since the meat is pretty loose, I'll probably put a little bit of breadcrumb. I was trying to avoid putting in any more gluten. Normally I do put in a few, like about a quarter or a half a cup of like gluten-free breadcrumbs, or maybe I could have used oatmeal, I guess, too, as well. It does work. Sometimes you need the binder. Sometimes I go without it, but today I'm thinking maybe I won't. So I only like sprinkled in like a quarter cup though of breadcrumbs there, and it does look a lot better. So we're gonna go with that. So should have been like a whole cup of coconut. I had less than that.
I want to eat the coconut.
No, it's raw, you don't eat it. And then it's about a cup of breadcrumbs. I may or may not use the whole thing, and then I salt and peppered it. And what I'm doing is I just make little balls, and then I'm just gonna roll the ball in the seasoning or the breading. Move your hand. This is why we don't make videos, because kids don't listen. So there it is, little balls. So I'm gonna continue to make these, and then I'll show you what to do at the stove. All right, so we are at the stove. So what we're using, I literally use like a half a jar, maybe a little bit more, of coconut oil, which is healthy. This is unrefined. That's what you want. No.
What?
No. So that's all that's in this pan here. So we are frying it in coconut oil. If you don't like coconut oil, you could use a vegetable oil. That's just not as healthy. You can't really fry in just olive oil. Olive oil is not made for that. So this is the healthiest version of oil. It also has a lot of medium chain fatty acids. So it does have a lot more saturated fat, but because it's medium chain fatty acids, it's actually broken down faster in the body and more efficiently to use for energy, which is one of the benefits besides that it has other properties that are healthy for you. And I do also always buy the organic coconut oil. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fry these coconut meatballs on all sides until they're golden brown on all sides. You could also bake these, but they just don't come out quite as good. I've done it. So that is an option though if you're really watching your fat content. Chicken doesn't really have a whole lot of fat. This is like 97% lean. Most ground chicken is. So that's how I validate frying it in coconut oil. So this is gonna take probably about 4 minutes on each side, and I do roll them around quite a bit. One on pretty much, one side, then the other side, and then I kind of roll them to get all sides because they're obviously more like circular. But you could also make these into patties, like I said, and kind of more like a burger shape, which will cook faster. They're just gonna be a little bit more moist in a meatball. They don't really get as dry. They don't really dry out. One thing you do want to do though is you do want to take the internal temperature once you've fried all the sides. Make sure you get to 165 so that way you know that your chicken is not undercooked. Okay, so at this point I have fried all sides of the meatballs. No, they're not perfectly round. But you can see they are nice and fried and golden delicious. So I am gonna take the temperature of one of them to see if we're in a good place. And if not, we'll just have to keep them on a little bit longer, which could definitely happen. Okay, so they're done. These are not gonna last long in this house. I'm going to be the only one that's gonna eat them because my kid tried it last time and he wasn't a fan because picky eaters. My husband, I don't think, liked them either because he doesn't really like coconut. So if you don't like coconut, leave it out. If your family doesn't like it, but I like it too much, and so I'm gonna eat them alone. So I do put like a sauce on them. I have like a mango sauce. Now you got your gloves dirty. Like a mango chutney type sauce that I use on them. But you could have anything or just eat them plain. I also eat it with sweet potatoes and butternut squash and or both. And usually some kind of green. So we'll see. Tonight I know I have sweet potatoes in the oven. So that's what we're going to do. Enjoy.